right, we are back to the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy Football Podcast. I am joined today by my guest host, the previous champ, better known as the People's Champ. Welcome in, Matt Ruiz. How you doing?
Woo! The crowd goes crazy.
Yeah, all right. So we have no Michael this week. Probably has something to do with his performance of last week. So Matt's going to help me co-host. We do have a guest today as well. What's funny is my co-host and my guest are the two people I'm pretty sure don't actually listen to the podcast. Welcome in, Brandon Hastings.
Boo!
And the crowd goes wild.
He booed me,
All
so I
right,
had to boo him back.
How you doing, Brandon?
I'm good. I mean, I could be better. Last week was definitely a stinker. So
Got a couple of those in a row now, huh?
Ooh.
Yeah. But I'm playing Michael this week, so I'm feeling like my chances are good to bounce back.
Oof, maybe y'all both had two pretty rough weeks. So last week was weird. So last week we had 6 teams score less than 100 points. So overall, that's just a pretty shitty fantasy week. So let's go ahead and dive into the top and bottom scorer. So for the top scorer, we had Nathan Groover.
That's how you know it was a weird week right there.
That's right. Hey, wait, here's Nathan's soundbite.
I'ma compete. Don't know defeat. You say give up, I don't know what that means. The only thing come to a sleep was a dream.
Very Nathan soundbite, huh?
Yeah, very generic right there.
We play DMCA free music on this podcast.
Copyright free, sir.
Out of our 6 people that scored under 100, I was one of them. I think actually all 3 of us were under 100, so that's funny.
Oh, Brandon well under 100.
But the worst score this week was actually Michael Brown.
Can I just say that of all the idiots, in all the idiot villages, in all the idiot worlds, you stand alone, my friend. Can I just...
All right. Yeah, Michael, suck it. You're an idiot. You were the worst scorer. Little shot at my previous co-host there. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts of this last week?
Brandon, you want to go first?
Yes, actually, I'm pulling up the scores right now, just so I can see where everyone was at last week.
Yeah, we'll do a little deeper dive here in a second.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this year has just been just an off year. I feel like there's a lot of players that have kind of just sprung out over this year that might not have been big time players like Cooper Kupp last year versus this year. Complete
No way. He's always been a big player.
Yeah, and you
Not
have a
like
pretty
this year,
significant quarterback upgrade, though. So whenever
Yes.
you go from a Jared Goff to a Matt Stafford, you got to think that production is going to increase. I do want to talk about the Rams a little bit more here in a second. So here, we'll go ahead and start with this. Let's go and start by recapping the trades of last week. Now, they were both, I think, just me. So, Matt,
Alex, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to give my thoughts on last week.
Okay, yeah.
Brandon didn't do a very great job there, but great grammar myself. How many points did James Conner score last week? Like, wasn't he?
He put up a 40 burger for sure.
If James Conner puts up a 40 burger, then you know it is a weird ass week. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that right there was kind of the indication. It kind of just felt like last week, like what's up is down. Like, and even in the Cowboys performance, which I can say as a Dak Prescott owner now. So super proud Cowboys fan right here.
Yeah, talk about garbage time with those Dak points too.
Yeah,
you were
that
about
is
to
true.
lay 50 points.
That was definitely a saving grace, but like it just felt like in football in general last week, like wasn't the Bills Jaguars? Didn't the Bills just lose to the Jags last week?
Yeah, they lost 9-6 to Jags. Yeah,
just the weirdest week of not even fantasy football, just football in general. Like just super weird.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing to note is there were some weird like injuries, and I think bye weeks also killed some people too last week. So injuries and bye weeks are every week you have to deal with, but I think last week that definitely kind of played into it for some people's teams.
Yeah, and something on my show doc here I want to cover is I want to follow up on Matt's trade. I don't know if y'all listened to last week's pod, but I dug into Matt a little bit on that trade.
I did.
Matt, you obviously did the trade because you were trying to buy a win, right? You needed a win now. So you're in bye week hell. You made some moves. 1 week removed. What are your thoughts on that trade?
Listen, man, do I regret it? Did I have, I guess, seller's remorse at that point? Yeah, I absolutely did. Like, I made the trade and I was like, I felt like I just slept with like a chubby chick or something. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what did I just do? Like, I felt gross about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially trading with CJ. Like, that should have been a red flag. If CJ's like, all right, let's do it, I should have been like, I need to get the fuck out. Like, this is a bad idea. But I don't know. It was just, you have to understand the frustration from my point being feeling like I drafted such a good team and to be 3-4 last week, staring down like without Tom Brady, without DK Metcalf, like I was staring down a solidified loss to you, Alex, last week. Like I'm like, all right, I'm about to be 3-5. Yes, I'm still 3-5 and probably a little worse for it. But I was like, it's just a frustrating position to be in when you feel like you draft such a good team to not have that pan out. I was just like, man, I'm just ready to blow this shit up. Like I was so fed up with it. And do I think I got significantly worse? No. But do I think I got a little worse? Yeah. I think CJ definitely kind of became like, you and CJ are definitely up there for front runner. Logan's still good, but I think CJ definitely gained some ground on that one. And that was kind of I think that's kind of one of those trades for him that kind of shifts the momentum a little bit and like really changes the landscape.
Absolutely. Because before that, I really viewed him as a good team, not elite. At that point, I did not see any team as elite yet, right? We had a lot of parity in the league.
Logan was.
Logan's dealt some problems. But I think that did make CJ the front runner for sure. So I don't know, Brandon, any thoughts on that?
I was going to say, I got to take back any criticism or jokes I made at CJ's team for, granted his opponents have always scored lower, but I mean, looking at his team now, it's definitely a respectable roster for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, then let's analyze some trades. I think we only had 2, and I'll let y'all handle both these because I think the only 2 trades involved me. So I traded Gronk for Adrian Peterson. Nothing substantial there. Any thoughts y'all have?
Yeah, I mean, you needed a running back, right? Like,
yeah, Chase Edmonds got injured, so I was kind of just stuck in running back hell. And then I went and traded Jacoby Myers for Mark Ingram. I don't know if y'all have any significance there. My hope is that Kamara doesn't play this week. He didn't practice today, so might just get a plug and play. But we'll see. No big trades. Trading in our league has definitely slowed down, other than that blockbuster trade that Matt and CJ had. And then for the free agent acquisition budget, kind of a lame week. I think a lot of people just kind of spent $5-6 on some running backs when they were dealing with bye. Matt, you got Devontae Freeman for, was it $5?
Yeah, I mean, for me, listen, I had at the time I had $13. Like, I don't have shit to work with. I'm not hoarding away money like someone like Logan who'll drop fucking $50 on McCole Hardman. Like, I'm not doing any of those numbers. It's just I didn't have any money to spend, and I'm like, coming into this week, I feel much better than I did before, because without Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like I was like, oh shit, I'm staring down starting Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. Like, I'm looking at that, and that is a gross feeling to have. So I don't know. I feel good getting Freeman, but
he was a good snag. Yeah, you get to watch him tonight, which was fun. And he could probably fall in the end zone. I bid on him too. He was what I wanted him way more than I wanted. I think I ended up with Jordan Howard. So
see, and I actually wanted Kenyon Drake. Looking at Kenyon Drake's numbers over the last 3 or 4 weeks,
yes,
like he actually is like very involved. And so he was, I think I bid $5 on Freeman and then $4 on Kenyon Drake. And I think Logan ended up getting him.
Logan or CJ got Drake. I'd have to look it up. I think he went for $6. And I do wish I'd bid a little higher, because you're right. Ever since Gruden left, there's a pretty strong correlation with a ton of receiving work for Kenyon.
Yeah. So I was a little more excited about him, but I thought, like you said, Devontae Freeman, he'll probably fall in the end zone at some point, or at least I hope he will. So kind of, prioritized budget a little bit based on that.
Yeah. And at the time of this recording, sorry, Brandon, 1 second. I'm saying it's Thursday night at 7:15. So we'll find out about Freeman here very soon. Brandon, what were you saying?
I was going to say it was Logan bid $8.
$8? Yeah. And I think that's actually a pretty good snag.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I probably would have been willing to pay 10.
And then he threw $5 on Elijah Moore as well. So he's breaking the bank on this week.
All right. And then lastly, before we dive into week 9 winners and losers, let's talk about OBJ to the Rams. So Brandon, what are your initial thoughts on that?
I think if you have Matthew Stafford as your quarterback, you are over the moon. I think just adding another weapon to that already elite receiving core is just going to make him that much better. And from a team perspective, from the Rams, I've already thought that they were going to be a Super Bowl, like almost shoe in. And, they just made a big play on defense, getting Von Miller. Even if he doesn't play, I think he's one of those leadership guys. So their defense is upgraded and now their offense got another upgrade. So from just an NFL fan standpoint, I think the Rams are like almost like a sure lock for the Super Bowl, in my opinion. But from a fantasy perspective, I think we'll just have to see with OBJ how many targets he gets with the lion's share he's going to have to share with, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
We'll
like what receivers it takes away from. Matt,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think if you're a Van Jefferson owner, I know he's got hot as of late. You got to be fucking pissed because I saw. Granted, if you're a Van Jefferson owner, who gives a shit? But I literally watched his projection on ESPN. He was projected like 11 points this week. As soon as the OBJ trade happened, he's now projected like 4.2 or something.
Oh, interesting.
So I think maybe that's an impact, but do you really have a lot of stock in him? No. I think if you're Josh and you have Robert Woods, you might be a little nervous. I think the only way you're feeling good about this is if you own Stafford or if you own Cooper Kupp, because I think those two are like a lock. You feel amazing about that. I know Robert Woods has been really good lately. I know he's been really good, but I would think, in my mind, Robert Woods is kind of the wide receiver 2 in that offense. Just based on the Kupp production. So I think I would be feeling a little nervous if I was them, but we'll see.
Yeah. Who do you think scores more this week, Woods or OBJ? OBJ plays.
I would still say Woods.
Probably Woods just because they're integrating him into the offense. But I think Matt's right. I think you're not worried about Cooper Kupp at all. I think Robert Woods is going to be the one to take the hit. You're going to have Odell lining up outside a lot. Van Jefferson's, unplayable at this point. And it's too soon to see who's the better NFL receiver. Is it Odell or is it Robert Woods? A lot of people have written off OBJ, but there is something to be said about that footage his dad released about him being wide open. And Matt Stafford, it's without a doubt better than Baker. So I think he could be usable. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think I agree. I think Robert Woods is the one that gets hurt here. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our past week 9 winners and losers right before this week gets started with Thursday Night Football. I'll start us off first with Chris versus CJ. So this was a pretty interesting week. We had, I think it was Chris that took the win here. Sorry, I'm pulling up the schedule. Chris took the win. Huge win for Chris. Chris was pretty much down and out. CMC was gone. He was losing. And then he was able to squeeze in a couple wins against Logan and against CJ. So not necessarily easy opponents either. When we look at the breakdown here, we knew that CJ was willing to take this loss with a trade he made with Matt. So Tyrod Taylor getting him 5 points, that pretty much sums it up. But you got to be happy if you're on Chris's side. He was able to pull out a win here. Christian McCaffrey came in and got you 14 points. That's probably his floor. On CJ's side, he's probably pretty excited. He ended up grabbing Kittle. And Kittle did good. First game back, 20 points. So great game for George Kittle. I'm not looking too much into this for CJ. Jonathan Taylor is a fucking beast. He'll probably be a top 3 pick next year if he's not kept. Anything y'all want to say about this matchup?
I think both guys probably leave this matchup pretty happy. I mean, like you said, CJ was. I think CJ probably assumed the loss. If you start Tyrod Taylor, you're probably assuming a loss right there.
Right.
But I mean, he obviously had 2 of his best players on bye, 2 players that I gave him. So I don't know. I think Chris stays alive and stays in the hunt, and CJ's sitting pretty at the top because no one's done shit against him. So I think they're both happy.
Yeah, I agree. All right, then you take the lead on this next matchup, Matt. Logan versus Justin. Logan took the win.
Let's see here. So Justin's team kind of grosses me out, the constant underperformance.
This poor guy, dude.
Yeah, it is tough if you're Justin. I don't know. I mean, a good win for Logan. Like you gotta win some of these gritty. I mean, it was just a weird week in fantasy, right? Like we talked about that already. Logan's CeeDee Lamb got him 4, Mike Williams 7. Like Hunter Renfrow scored almost 18 points.
Yeah,
So
that was his top scorer. It's a pretty gross matchup across the board. So at this point, do you think Mike Williams was a fluke those first few weeks?
I don't think he's a fluke. I still believe in that offense, and I believe in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. But like heading into this stretch of the year, would I have taken Keenan Allen over Mike Williams? Absolutely. Like I think this is just kind of Mike Williams coming back to earth. I don't necessarily think he's a fluke. I still think he ends up as probably like a top 20, 25 wide receiver.
Well, absolutely, just because of his start.
Yeah.
But do you think he's an every week starter moving forward?
I think you have to play him just because he is such a boom play. Like, I mean, 7.8, that's not going to lose you the week last week. Sure, you're kind of upset about that, but like when he booms for, 40 points, like you're going to be feeling pretty good. He's going to single-handedly win you a couple weeks this year. So I think at the very least, you got to start him in your flex.
Yeah. And then, so a quick story about Justin. So I sent Justin that trade and he immediately declined it, the Ingram for Myers. And I texted him, I said, why? And he said, I feel like people that are no longer in contention shouldn't trade. And then I just felt terrible for the guy. And I don't agree with him at all because you're still trying to not get last. But
Yep.
You can just tell he's just dead inside. Brandon, anything on this matchup?
No, I think you guys hit it all. I'm just looking at Justin's team and yeah,
He's got Hopkins, man.
I was gonna say,
Hopefully he gets healthy.
yeah, it sucks having him on your bench, injured, putting up 0 and just, I don't know, but see, I think he's in a good spot if he ends up going to the Sacco Bowl or the Sacco playoffs. I think he's one of those teams that you don't want to face him if you're going into the Sacco Bowl. But, I don't know what that means for Justin, maybe like a backhanded compliment, but yeah, I think it's tough life for Justin here.
Yeah, he's had a rough season. All right, next matchup. I'll start us off with Brandon versus Josh. Josh gave Stinky Pitts a whooping. I mean, Stinky Pitts dropped 76 points. I dug into you a little bit last pod too, Brandon. I was saying that I think you're going to be in the Sacco Bowl. And I hate to say it to your face, but this team just looks extremely inconsistent to me. I think Cortland Sutton is going to be very frustrating. Marvin Jones, Trevor Lawrence isn't playing great football. He's a rookie. Kyle Pitts is going to be up and down, even though great keeper value. Running backs are good. Obviously you have a pretty solid core there, but it'll be.
I don't know what's happening.
Was that you, Matt?
Rican.
Is that okay?
That's not
I
me.
want to be happy here.
What
I
is
want to
happening?
make a life at home.
You keep away from him.
I'm gonna think for myself.
It is Matt, isn't it?
No, it is not, dude. It cannot be me.
I want to die.
I don't have Chrome open.
All right, that
Someone
was
is
weird.
jumping. Who did you share this Zoom link with? Who was
And that-
looking?
I don't know what the hell that was, but we're gonna act like it didn't happen. Brandon, if you want anything you want to say in your defense on this matchup?
No, we got to rag on Brandon more, please.
I'm trying to figure out where we cut and where we stand.
We were talking about how ass your team is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I will say before the last trade I made with Logan, I felt like I was in a good place. But as soon as I made that trade, I feel like my team just completely imploded, where downgraded at running back, upgraded at quarterback. But, granted, I wasn't expecting Tannehill to, be anything more than what he's been all year. Derrick Henry goes down, so Tannehill stock goes up.
Does it though?
And then I think it does. You're not having to rely on Derrick Henry for the entire game. I think you're putting a lot more effort into having to throw the ball, and you don't replace Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? So I think he has more activity at quarterback. He has potential to score more points. His floor goes up. But if that, and then just to reiterate, also the news that Michael Thomas comes out like a few days after or right before the week starts. I can't remember exactly when. So took a wide receiver hit. So my wide receivers are in a very, very tough spot. And then also downgraded at running back, which was my strongest point. So Russell Wilson better show out when his finger is completely healed. So granted, I did have some people on bye. I had Terry on bye. I had Fournette on bye. And Russell Wilson also was on bye / injured. So, I mean, there are a few missing players. Like, I'm not going to start. I dropped Sharp. 2.2 points. Dude, no. But am I scared of the Sacco Bowl? It will depend in the next few weeks, I think, because I've got enough dubs from the first half of the season, but it's going to depend on, I think, the next 5 games is going to decide whether or not I'm able to squeak into that 7 and 8 spot or not. But yeah, it's last week was rough. Just put it that way.
I mean, how was the week before that? Because you've had a decent amount of stinkers recently, haven't you?
I think I had a bad first week, and then I think that's it. Maybe one other like 80 or 90 point week, but other than that, it's been over 100, I think, or pretty close.
I'll just say that Cortland Sutton is like he's about as close as it gets to being a droppable player. Like he's kind of like a Julio Jones. Like Julio is the same way for me, where I think I drafted him in the 4th round, and I'm to the point where I'm just about to drop him, but you just kind of hesitate because you have so much draft stock in a person, and they'll get picked up. And I think Cortland Sutton is kind of in that same way, like with Jerry Jeudy back.
Exactly. That's exactly what was going to be my point is with Jerry Jeudy coming back. I mean, we saw it with the Cowboys. So, I mean, Jeudy got, what was it, like 8 or 9 targets, maybe something or rather, 8 or 10 catches. And then Cortland Sutton, I think, had like 3 targets or 2 targets, like 1 catch, something ridiculous. So yeah, I'm hurting for receivers. So if anyone's got some receivers they're ready to dump off, hit me up.
All right, something crazy has happened to my computer, and it keeps like pushing me off somewhere else. What matchup you are on here?
So we just finished ragging on Brandon's team.
Yeah,
Y'all
we
took
were
that
talking
long
about
to rag
Josh.
on Brandon's team?
What was that?
I was mostly ragging on myself, but we didn't talk about Josh. Do you guys have any input on Josh's team? I know that we thought his team was kind of meh the last few weeks, but I mean, it probably still is kind of meh, but I don't have any room to talk. So
Logan was right when he described him as a little RB whore. Like, that's exactly what Josh is. He is plentiful in that area. I mean, it's not the sexiest. I think Nick Chubb is out this week, but I mean, he definitely does have some like solid running backs. We talked about it. Robert Woods probably takes a hit with Odell, to be determined. Dan Arnold, honestly, at tight end kind of turned into like a fantasy asset. Like he's strung together a few really solid weeks. So I don't know. His team looks okay. It's fine. Alex, you trying to figure out why your computer's playing Spanish?
It's still playing noise. Can y'all hear it?
No.
It's so weird. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next matchup here. Here we got Matt. You can take over hosting for a second.
Yeah, so the next one is Trenton versus Austin. Let me pull this one up here. This should be a good
we know that
one.
Austin.
Oh my God. This is another straight up embarrassing performance. I know I only put up 93. And for me to say that this is I put up 90 points. And for me to say that this is an embarrassing performance is a lot. Like, anyway, I don't know. Trenton's team, it's another one of those that looked really good at the start of the year. He had a bunch of stinkers last week. I don't necessarily think that persists. I think he's got a pretty solid team, but Pat Mahomes is not, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs offense in general is not trending in the right direction. So I don't know, man. We'll see. Just kind of a gross matchup in general, I think. Last week was tough, but yeah, we'll see moving forward. What do you think, Brandon?
I just I'm just questioning why he had Devontae Smith on the bench and started Chase Claypool in the flex.
I think that is a tough position because to me, those guys are, I mean, he might've been playing, I imagine he was probably trying to play matchups there, but I think
I
with
would-
either of those guys, you're just, that's a tough start to me.
Yeah. I just think that I'm looking at the other ones he's got. His bench. I think he's probably looking at his bench and kind of
Darnell
looking
Mooney
at
was a fluke,
disappointment.
though.
Yes,
That
I will
two-touchdown game
agree.
was a fluke.
And David Montgomery was injured, but decided to play, or did he get injured middle of the game?
No, he came back from IR.
Yes.
He was activated.
That's what I thought.
And here to touch on what I was thinking, I didn't think that he was going to come back and get almost like 95% of the freaking work, but he came back right away. Must have been totally good before a bye week. And I mean, he looked good. So Trenton does have that going for him. Josh Jacobs and Dave Montgomery, like it's not sexy, but that's solid.
It's good enough. It's good enough, especially when you have Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase there to really anchor down the wide receivers. Chase Claypool looks like he's gonna miss some time though, so that his flex will be murky.
Yep.
On Austin's side, he pulls out a W with his quarterback getting 10 points. You're pretty happy with that. This is just a really low scoring week overall. AJ Brown didn't do much. Justin Jefferson's very solid anchor for the wide receiver. And then he's hoping that Dawson Knox comes back here pretty soon.
Yep.
So,
Which
just
hopefully he
another
does.
matchup, kind of a scratch of a weird week. For the sake of time, let's go ahead and get going. Next matchup, we'll do Michael versus Nathan. So this was our highest score and our lowest score. Oh no, Michael was not the lowest scorer. Brandon, you were gonna sneak by that again.
Oh my
I tried. I was trying not to
God.
say anything.
You're a snake. You're a snake in the grass, Brandon. Michael, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Alex,
you're
Alex,
the idiot that stands alone, Brandon.
can you play him his song real quick? His dumb idiot song. Can you play that back?
During the whole sound crisis, I started Xing out all of my windows, so I don't have it. But
Fine.
of all the
Here,
idiots and all the idiot worlds and all the idiot villages, you stand alone, Brandon.
Alex, when we were talking, so when you were going all AWOL with your little Spanish fucking mop advertisements, whatever was going on, when we were talking about Brandon and Josh's matchup, Brandon was saying, oh yeah, no, I think like week 1 and last week were low scoring for me. Wasn't his ass just on the show, not as the lowest score, but the second lowest score the week before this?
No, he was the lowest scorer the week before this.
Brandon, you motherfucker. How
Because
are
I
you gonna act
replayed
like
his
you've been
Sneaky
putting
Pit
up
song.
130 every week?
Okay, let's go ahead now and do Nathan versus Michael.
great.
Michael, I'm so sorry, but you still did terrible. 77 points. You can't start Mike Davis. He's unstartable. I know he didn't have a lot of options. DJ Moore's got to be frustrating just because Sam Darnold sucks.
Yep. Well, they got Cam Newton now.
And I agree with what you were saying earlier, Matt. Nathan's got a squad, and this is with Tyler Lockett out. He's going to get Tyler Lockett back in. He's going to have some NOS. AB will come back eventually. This is a good squad, and Nathan's definitely a contender. Lamar Jackson's been playing lights out. But to have that kind of solid quarterback play to complement, a really good set of skill players, even Jalen Waddle's been great for PPR. I like his team a lot. Brandon, any analysis on this matchup?
Yeah, give me 1 sec. I'm actually pulling the matchup back up.
Can I make a point about Nathan's team real quick?
Of course.
Here's where shit gets real in that Nathan's coming off a really good week. Was he the highest score? He was the highest score. He chose some generic ass song to play for his victory song. And it's like, here's where you separate the boys from men and the fact that CJ had a good team, a good record, and he capitalized and fucking trade diddled me for a few good players. Is Nathan, are we going to see Nathan sit idle on this team that's really good and try and capitalize on some momentum and actually become a contender? Like, he's got a solid squad, but we'll see what he does with it, or if he sits idle. And
yeah,
doesn't
my
necessarily
guess would be
capitalize.
he'd sit idle. Nathan's not one to stir it up if things are going well, which I can't blame him. I mean, it's a good team. I don't see any reason to force anything. I don't see any players here that are necessarily trading now. They're overperforming. Maybe Jalen Waddle. I don't know. Okay, but we got the 10-minute warning here on Zoom, so we got to get this thing going. Last matchup from last week was myself versus Matt. This was a real gross slugfest, low scoring. Brandon, I'll let you take this one. Be brief.
Yeah. You got to be disappointed in Tyreek Hill putting up 7.3 points. Obviously, sucks whenever your running back goes down and only puts up less than a point. So I think you just kind of have to just take it for what it is. Just let fantasy be fantasy this week. If you're, for you, Alex, Matt, I'm looking at, your running back situation is rough. Is definitely rough this week. So,
he just
especially
got
CEH.
boned by
AJ
David
Dillon.
Montgomery coming back. That killed him.
Yep.
Because otherwise, it's an automatic win. He has it. But Monty came back, got all the carries, screwed him over. Other than that, though, I mean, Aaron Jones is probably a little frustrating. I got to think bigger days are ahead. More touchdowns probably is what you need from him because they're using a lot of AJ Dillon.
Still not as frustrated as I was with Dalvin Cook because Aaron Jones actually fucking plays every week. So
Yeah,
I'll
I get
take
it.
that. He's going to win me some weeks and he might put up a couple duds, but I'll take that.
Also, you got to be upset with Greg the Leg putting up 0, thinking if he
that
kicks a
was,
field goal and an extra point, you're
Did he
able
kick it
to
all?
pull it out. He had 0 across the board.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
they never even attempted a field goal or extra point.
That's what type of game it was.
Heartbreaking.
Yep, that was brutal. Okay, let's get to the this week's pick'em. So go to the schedules and bring up this next week, and we're going to do these relatively quick because we got 7 minutes left. I'll take the first one of Justin versus CJ. So I'm obviously rooting for Justin here because I would like to take CJ's #1 seed spot. Let's see if we got any noticeable or notable buys going on this week. Sorry, it's loading up on my end. All right. No, he's got Kadarius Toney on bye. It's probably a good thing. And then Justin is missing his arguably best receiver, Brandon Cooks being out. When we look at the projections, we see that it's CJ's projected win by a mile. You got Jonathan Taylor versus Jacksonville. Tom Brady against Washington's terrible secondary. You got Russ back with DK. Man, I think that CJ is going to kill him. What do y'all think?
Yep.
What's y'all's pick?
We say that, but what's up is down in fantasy. So watch Justin just beat him by 50 points this week. But you got to think looking at this. I mean, it's 2 pretty much healthy squads besides Justin not having Brandon Cooks. So CJ squad looks good, man.
So are you taking CJ or Justin to win?
I'm taking CJ. I'm just saying watch.
Oh yeah, there could always be an upset. And then Brandon, what's your pick here?
Yep. I think I'm with you guys on all points. I guess we'll have to see if Josh Allen puts up a 40 burger on the Jets, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how healthy
All right.
Hopkins
So
is.
unanimous picks in favor of CJ. Matt, you lead us off with Logan versus Austin. I think both these guys are 4 and 5, so this would be a really big win for either one of them.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the teams right now, I'm gonna pick Logan. Hopefully Dawson Knox balls out. I do hope that like it's nice that he is back and he can start him. Yeah, I don't know, just straight up, I'll take Logan.
I'm leaning Logan too, just because I think, like I said earlier, Kamara sits, and you got James Conner against a pretty good Carolina run defense. And Kyler's a little banged up also, and if D-Hop's out, that could hurt him. So we'll see. It could be a huge game for Matt Stafford. CD Lamb against Atlanta is great. Najee against Detroit is just, he's going to have 40 points. So yeah, it's a pretty easy Logan lean for me. Brandon?
Yeah, I know the projections say they're only like less than a point apart, but yeah, I think Logan takes this one for sure.
All right, then we got Brandon versus Michael. So these are the 2 lowest scorers from last week. They have something to prove. Let's take a look. Looks like Brandon already has 3 points from somebody.
Justin Tucker.
Oh, okay. What's the score of that game? Is it just 3-0?
3-0. Yeah.
Okay. Looking at these matchups, I think I'm going to lean towards Stinky Pitts just because I think Chris Godwin's not going to play. And then Antonio Gibson versus Tampa Bay is a brutal matchup. He's got a lot of tough matchups. You got DJ Moore against Arizona's great defense. You have Goddard versus a good Denver defense. So across the board, I think this matchup does lean towards Brandon. Any different thoughts from you, Matt?
Yeah, I actually am going to take the upset.
So you're going Michael.
Yeah, give me garbage time City. Give me Carson Wentz balls out against Jacksonville. Yeah, I'll take Michael.
Okay, then we'll go to Josh versus Chris. Oh, sorry, Brandon. I didn't give you a pick. Who you got? Break
I
the
was
tie
gonna
here.
say I'm obviously gonna take myself, but I think this is also like one of those big games that's going to be an important win for either of us because we're teetering towards the middle of the pack now, and I think over the next couple weeks, it's going to decide who makes playoffs, who falls into the bowl, Sackle Bowl. But I really like some of the matchups, like Tampa Bay against Washington, and then I guess we'll have to see about Russell Wilson. They say he's going to play. I don't know how many reps he's going to be able to get coming off of injuries, so he might sit on the bench this week. We'll have to see, but
I bet they play him prime time.
yeah.
All right, we got 3 minutes left, boys, so we're gonna do some rapid fire. Next matchup, we have Josh versus Chris. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah, let me just make a point. Chris needs to go ahead and acquire David Johnson so he can have he can start 3 D Johnsons on his team. That's ridiculous. Give me Chris.
Okay, I'm gonna take Chris also. He's got some really good matchups. Not too much to dive in here. Josh's team overall, I think, is extremely average. Brandon, your pick.
Yeah, I'm rolling Chris. I think
He's got a huge
Christian
projection
McCaffrey
difference.
coming back is he's going to ball out. I think him coming back is going to be nice unless they limit his reps.
Yeah. All right, then Matt versus Nathan. This might be a little biased because Matt already has 13 points, but I think, gosh, this is a tough one. I think I'm going Matt. He has really good matchups. Both teams are really good. This one I can see going down to the wire. Tyler Lockett, if he has a big game, I put the nail in Matt's coffin, but I'm going Matt.
Yeah, I'm going Matt as well. Dak Prescott against Atlanta.
Yeah,
Give me
big
that.
bounce back game.
Diggs versus the Jets. Give me that. Evans versus Washington. I think just the matchups is going to be the difference maker in this one.
And give me Nathan, unfortunately.
That's a man that's down on his team right there.
Yep, that's a man that's 3-5.
Yeah, that's how Justin was acting when he was on. All right, we're down to 1.5 minutes left. Last matchup, Matt, take it away. It is myself versus Big Dick Trent, or as he still
Big
calls
Dick
himself.
Trent is gonna wipe the motherfucking floor with you.
Oh,
No
boy.
contest. Give me Big Dick T all day.
This is revenge of the stack, my friend. The team that Trent has had for the last 4 years, his classic Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams players, I'm going to take them and I'm going to shove it down his throat, and I'm going to destroy him. Brandon, your thoughts?
I think I actually have you, Alex, pulling this one out. Even though I think it's going to be one of those weeks like him and I had where it's literally a point or two apart from each other. I think the projection's actually kind of accurate on how close your teams are. But I think he might pull this out. We'll see. Also,
right.
He needs to change his picture.
Yeah, he does. It's ridiculous. All right, we'll go and wrap it up. Thanks, you two, for joining. This has been a pretty chaotic show, so sorry to the listeners, but it was great having the previous champ and Brandon on. And good luck, everybody.
Sorry, just had to echo that.
What'd you echo?
Previous motherfucking champ.
Oh, yeah, very good. All right, peace out, everybody.
All right, see y'all.